Alright, class, first of all, I want to apologize also for, I'd like to get a better camera and microphone for my announcements. If for whatever reason you have a hard time understanding what I'm saying or, processing these videos, then you should call me, because I do leave, every week I will, and sometimes throughout the week, I'll make video announcements. By the end of last semester, I was doing these and many students were not watching them and then asking me 1,000 questions that were all answered already in the video announcement. So I'm sorry if I bore you or you just are not interested in these, but I need you to watch them. I will start getting agitated if you start asking me lots of questions and you haven't watched the video announcement first, okay? So that's all I'm asking, unless you have a problem, of course, doing that. So because I have not been able to resolve the mysteries of the textbook problem right now in my history lab, and I probably at this point won't have that resolved until Monday evening, I'm afraid. I work all day Monday at my other job. I work with children in my other job. But I will be off all day to work on my online class on Tuesday. So we can, communicate, basically any time on Tuesday we can talk on the phone or, communicate through Canvas or texting. I want to mention, writing the Canvas is great. I do like Canvas because it lets me know, which class you're from, because I'm going to have 2 classes soon. I'm having a late start class for my other one, and it puts a light telling me that I haven't read a message or not. So I do like the way that Canvas deals with questions from students, and again, the phone call or the texting is the quickest way to get a response from me, especially when I'm working on Monday. So on my lunch break, I have the opportunity to answer any quick questions. And then unfortunately it probably won't be till Monday evening or Tuesday that I get the link to my history lab. Because of that, I moved the note-taking assignment that we have every Thursday as a general rule to be moved to Sunday, so you guys have more time to get the assignments done. I do now have the lectures open. You could probably still get a lot out of the lectures and you can take the notes, but I think having the textbook will help you a little bit more, so with getting down the information, okay? So first of all, I just want to say something about this class. This is Western civilization, not about the wild, wild West, but in terms of the Western world compared to, let's say, the Eastern world. Western Europe develops somewhat differently, of course, than China or India, and yet there are many different individual, distinct characteristics of different civilizations, even within what we call Western civilization. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit about my approach to this class. In the past, it used to be that a class like this was basically the West is the best, and what people would call a Western-centric approach to this topic. Because of Western colonialism and imperialism, the majority of the world has been dominated for quite some time by Western powers. For the British, that was celebrated, right? The sun never sets on the British Empire, and that was something to be boastful of. Now, the idea of empire is not something to celebrate. And in fact, even though the United States is the most powerful military in the world, by far, more than I think many of my students or many people on the street really comprehend, many really believe that we are the world's largest empire now. But why that becomes debatable to people is because, unlike empires in the past, we don't send our families to colonize and occupy other countries. You have military occupations and bases everywhere in the world, but not actual civilian populations putting, in that way. But because of this legacy, there exists many political groups throughout the world who are rabidly anti-Western because they feel that Western civilization has imposed itself on them. And yet, the one thing that I kind of want to really show in this class is that the West was influenced by the Mediterranean and Mesopotamian area and Egypt, Africa. So our civilization that we have now was influenced by other places that are not the West. And simultaneously, many societies that are not Western that have tried to maybe rebel or to struggle against Western dominance have also used Western thinkers or tools. So, like North Korea, right? It's moved far away from Marxist-Leninism, but it is officially a communist state founded on the teachings of Karl Marx, a German, right? North Korea has definitely kind of become more and more Korean-centric, but that's the foundation of the state. The Ayatollah Khomeini of Iran was, he followed this one writer who wrote a book called West Toxification, where he thought that Iran was just being too much inundated with Western culture at the expense of their own. And so there was this Islamic revolution in the 70s in which, when he came to power, the Ayatollah Khomeini created this new Islamic state done in a way that was never done even in Islamic history, which is a whole other topic. But many scholars believe that he got his influence from Plato's Republic, the idea of the philosopher king, but he transferred that into kind of like the Islamic scholar king. So I guess again what I'm just trying to point out is that cultures, they just share ideas, sometimes reluctantly, sometimes by force, and it seems to me that you can't really get around that. Now, the other issue is that Western societies, because of this legacy in the past, have also brought in a lot of immigrants from places that they used to dominate, and there's also been a massive refugee crisis that is unprecedented, at least since World War II. And so Western nations are feeling like their civilizations are under threat from people coming from non-Western nations. Now, whether this is fair or not, or whatever one thinks about this debate, it's creating a rise in fear of strangers, and there is a growing tide around the world of hatred of foreigners and of far-right parties. And white nationalism is taking on kind of a new force of popularity in different garments, but it's not exactly Nazi and fascist in the traditional sense, but it is. And so what I kind of would like us to do is also just address, as we're learning about Western civilization, some things that are going on currently with the topic of Western civilization and how politics are being shaped now. I want to mention that I don't grade people based on their politics. So I don't judge you, whether or not you and I share the same politics. If you follow the assignments, we're going to be fine. What I do ask is this, though: when we do discussions, that everybody treats each other civilly. I do believe in freedom of speech, but I also believe in manners and decency, and I don't understand why that can't be, those two things can't go together. That seems to be something that people have a hard time with. They're like overly sensitive, political correct, or they think that being offensive and obnoxious is like some sort of empowering thing. I don't really like this idea. Communicate what you think. Just do it respectfully, and let's break down and let's have a real discussion, if not a debate, about certain things. But there is a fine line. Now, I, as a professor, am the one who decides that, and I will monitor the discussions. And if there's an issue, I'll politely write to you and go over that. Okay? But I usually don't have a problem with that. I'm very happy. Now, kind of sum this up. I have 2 jobs. Most of you have something similar, or your families. I usually mention in these things I'm a single dad. My daughter's 18 now. I no longer, if she's never around, she's got 2 jobs herself. So, but the point is, I've been a single dad for a long time, and I understand parenting life. That's what I want to make clear. I've went through a divorce. I understand that drama, and so I have students all the time going through divorces, marital problems, issues with children. Sometimes, young couples having couple problems. All these different things distract you from your work. Now, I don't need you to tell me your life story. I'm not going to stop you from doing that, but just communicate with me. If you're having a difficult time during the week to do the work because of various life problems, you just need to communicate with me, and we'll work out something. But I can't have you come back to me 3 weeks later where you're not doing all this work and then doing it. I need you to communicate with me in the middle of your crisis. That's all I ask of you, so we can kind of work out something, okay? And also about plagiarism. Every year, every semester, no matter what, I probably should have said this at the beginning, because right now everybody's already bored and maybe like leaving or something and not paying attention. Everybody, I always get plagiarized papers, and I get them from some of my good students that get desperate in their busy life, and I catch it, and I get these terrible, traumatic, crying voices, grown men pleading for mercy. Just don't do it, okay? Because I'm really fed up with plagiarism. If you have a question about what plagiarism is, let me know. But ultimately, you cut and paste something and you put it in there and you claim it's yours, you plagiarize. I find it and I get irritated, and then we have a discussion about your future in my class, okay? So please don't do it. That's all, okay? It's never worth it. It's better to take an F or to just work with me and negotiate a late paper arrangement, okay? And okay, in regards to my workload, it looks intimidating at first, but I have many students right now taking classes with me that have had several classes with me, and they know that once you get the routine down, my workload is very reasonable. You're not expected to memorize everything. You're expected to just do the work, and so you will not. You don't have comprehensive exams where you have to memorize all the material covered. Western Civ is a survey course, so I want to get you interested in the topics that we're talking about and not worry about trying to memorize them and then just you'll be forgetting it later anyways, okay? It's important. Knowing history is important. Right now we're in a very critical time where politics, as I'm mentioning, the topic of Western civilization and what it means, what's important about it, what's controversial about it, what needs to be preserved, what should be questioned. These are very critical questions that radical political elements are thinking about and talking about. People in power are thinking about and talking about. And the consequences to what approach we take with this idea of Western civilization may have some very serious ill effects on ourselves and other parts of the world. That might sound like really dramatic, but this is real talk. This is a time for us to really start engaging with history and getting a grip on where to think about things in a very sophisticated way. And that's going to be my political point of view, which is I'm not trying to shove a particular set of political values left or right, but to get you to understand the people on the left and right are making very strong value judgments based on this history, and you should be a part of this conversation, and you should be educated enough to know what you really think would be a sound approach to all of this, okay? So yeah, this is important. It's an important class, okay? And so I hope though that you end up finding it enjoyable. It starts off in a way, if you had me in my World Civ class, it kind of starts off similar, and then it starts to get more and more specific to the topic of Western civilization itself. Okay, so if there's any questions about each week's work, I want you to contact me. I like to discuss it, and I'm more than open to discuss anything you might have a thought on. Like I said, even controversially, especially if you want to call me, let's just keep it respectful, and hopefully this class will make you, and it'll enrich your life. And I'll just stop my little soapbox about my history feelings right now, and just say that, hey, the weather's kind of intense right now, and if your power goes out, that's another thing. Just don't worry about it. We'll contact each other. My power could go out. Last thought. I actually live in Portland, Oregon right now. I used to live in Modesto, and I taught at MJC, but there's snow and freezing rain outside of this window right now. So we're not going to be able to meet in person, but that's why I make myself also accessible. So keep warm and well fed, live well, and be in touch.